merino sheep, growing that superior quality of fine wool fibre which has been for almost 200 years the golden fleece of the Australian rural economy. From the early days of hand shearing to the modern methods of today, expert hands clip the raw wool from the sheep. It's examined and assessed by the wool classer. And finally, it's compressed and packed into bales, ready for transportation to wool brokers' warehouses throughout Australia. Buyers from around the world compete with each other at wool sales auctions for this raw material to feed their industrial machinery. But what exactly are they buying? Well, it's greasy wool, straight from the sheep, full of dirt, burrs, grass, seeds, sheep manure, a long way from being usable to produce the yarn from which to weave high-quality garments such as these. A transformation is needed to turn this into this, the clean, high-quality industrial product. This transformation is not done with any magic wand. It's state-of-the-art machinery and the commitment of skilled men and women, the staff of Australian Topmaking Services Limited, Austop, an Australian-owned company located at Parkes in the central west of New South Wales. And this is the story of how that transformation is achieved. The buyer's bales of wool are unloaded at the Austop plant by forklift. Each bale is checked for correct specification, counted, and placed in temporary storage ready for processing. The transformation process starts when the bales are opened and the compressed wool is taken out of the wool pack for blending. A skilled operator checks the fibre at this stage for any impurities or contamination that may have occurred in earlier storage or transportation. The wool is then conveyed to be blended in the blending bins according to the specification given by the customer. The blending of wool from different bales ensures a common consistency. It spreads minor differences of fibre length and strength randomly and uniformly throughout the entire batch. After blending, the wool is fed into the scour to be washed and cleansed. Dirt, manure and other impurities, as well as the majority of the wool grease, are removed. These impurities are extracted by passing the wool through a series of bowls containing hot, soapy water. The wash water is recycled and the discharged wastewater pumped to evaporation ponds. The residue from these ponds may prove a useful organic resource in the future. Of the various types of scour used for washing greasy wool, the Circa scour system, developed by Australia's CSIRO, incorporates the best features into one design. The Austop plant, equipped with this system, has further modifications which make it potentially the most advanced scour in the world. The skill of the scour operator is of critical importance. The right combination of controls enable the fibre to be processed with maximum quality, efficiency and productivity. As the tangled wool fibres emerge from the scour, they enter a series of processes designed to straighten and align them, while removing the short lengths of fibre called noils from the remaining long wool. A simple example of this process occurs when you wash and then comb your hair. After scouring, the dried wool is reblended in storage bins. A lubricant is added at this stage to help straighten the fibres as it travels to the first stage of being untangled, called carding. This diagram represents the cards. They consist of rollers faced with fine teeth or pins, which catch into the tangled mass of wool fibre to hook individual fibres. The larger main roller, called the swift, interacts with a similar small roller, the worker, to draw the fibres out by a tooth and claw type of action. The stripper acts to clean fibres from the worker and return them to the swift. Carding also removes most, although not all, of the seeds, burrs and other vegetable matter from the fibre. Accurate adjustment of the machinery is essential. Trained operators contribute their knowledge and experience to achieve the best results. The wool fibres emerge from this process roughly parallel, but with looped or hooked ends, which result from being caught on the pins of the swift and the worker rollers. The wool emerges in a continuous stream, called a sliver, and is ready to enter a further series of straightening processes. We call these gilling. In this stage, the sliver passes through pins, which are designed to straighten the fibres and lay them parallel, which prepares the sliver for the next process, combing. This section of the plant is therefore referred to as the preps. The process is carried out 3 times, presenting the sliver so as to run from the opposite end each time. By this means, the hooks will be at the trailing end of the fibre when they enter the combs. Combing separates the fibres in the sliver into 3 parts. Firstly, the fibre to comprise the top. That is the customer's industrial wool for spinning into yarn. Secondly, the noil, or fibres shorter than that required for the top, as well as the neps, or little nests of short fibres formed in carding or gilling. The third part is the dust or fly which accumulates, called the second noil. In the combing process, a tuft of the fibre is grasped in a nipper and the free end presented to a circular comb. This is called combing the heads. Next, the tuft is gripped by fluted rollers at the free end and the tail is then combed. The tufts are then laid down in a continuous web. This complex operation requires the operator to have an excellent understanding not only of the machinery itself, but also of the characteristics of the fibre and the comb settings appropriate to it. After combing, the sliver is passed through 2 final gilling processes as a finishing operation. The first of these removes the wavy pattern created by the combing, and the second regulates the weight per metre of the sliver itself. The sliver is then wound into the top, so called because the original form, wound onto a wooden peg, resembled a child's spinning top. An alternative method of presentation, sometimes requested by clients, is automatically string wrapped. It's known as a bump. Here we see it being tested for moisture content. As one of the final processes, these are compressed and packed prior to temporary storage. When the client's batch is required, the bumps and tops are loaded and transported to the mills which spin the yarn. And from the yarn, they weave the fabrics to provide the finest in suits and fashion clothing throughout the world. At each stage of the top making process, rigorous quality control, testing, measurement and analysis takes place. Professionally trained laboratory staff share the same commitment to excellence as the production personnel. Both teams work in harmony to achieve consistent, high-quality top making and high yield from the raw material. The day-to-day running maintenance of the production machinery is carried out by the operators and team leaders themselves. Skilled technical support from mechanical, electrical and electronic staff provide the resources for the more complex maintenance requirements, as well as allowing Austop to carry out modifications to ensure that the plant stays at the leading edge of world-class top-making technology. As in any commercial enterprise, there are those important functions without which the business could not survive. Accounting to pay the bills and collect the income. Logistics to plan the production schedules and coordinate the raw material input. And organising the movement of finished product through road, rail and shipping container transport, together with all other support functions. And last, but certainly not least, those normally unseen members of the team, the shareholders, who provide the capital for the buildings, plant and equipment so essential to the whole operation. Australian Topmaking Services Limited. Austop.